Let me ask you something and answer it truthfully. What have you been holding in that is quietly changing how you feel? Because sometimes it is not the big issues that damage a relationship. It is the small things, the things you did not say, the moments you felt hurt but stayed quiet, the time you felt dismissed but ignore it, the situation you let go but never truly processed. And now something feels different. What have you been holding in? And that is quietly changing how you feel. Welcome back to Chronicles podcast, where we don't just address conflicts, we uncover what silence is, slowly building underneath. And today we are talking about unspoken resentment and how emotional build up in marriage can quietly lead to relationship frustration and eventually a communication breakdown. Feelings don't just disappear because you ignore them. They don't vanish because you said it is fine. They don't fade because you choose peace over expression. Instead, they settle, they sit quietly in your heart, growing, shaping your reactions, and changing your perception. That is how unspoken resentment begins. Not from one big issue, but from many small, unexpressed emotions over time. And the most dangerous part is you may not even realize it is happening until you start feeling differently about your partner. So let's talk about how small unspoken issues accumulate over time. It is rarely one major event. It is the joke that did not sit well, but you laughed it off. The moment you needed support, but you did not speak up. The repeated behavior that bothered you, but you ignored. You tell yourself it is not worth bringing up. Let me not make it a big deal. I'll just move on. But here is it. Every unspoken feeling does not disappear. It gets stored. And over time, those small things stack up, connect, form a pattern until one day your reaction feels bigger than the situation. Not because you are overreacting, but because you are reacting to accumulated emotions. That is how emotional build up in marriage quietly intensifies. Action between silence and bitterness. Silence does not just create distance, it creates interpretation. When things are left unspoken, your mind fills in the gaps. Maybe they don't care, maybe I am not important, maybe this is who they are, and slowly those interpretations turn into bitterness. You start feeling irritated more easily, becoming less patient, withdrawing emotionally, not because of one big issue, but because of many unresolved small ones. This is how relationship frustration builds, because what you did not say is now affecting how you feel. We suppress feelings instead of expressing them. Why do we keep things in? For many reasons: to avoid conflict, to maintain peace, to not be seen as too much, to avoid being misunderstood, to protect the relationship. So you choose silence. But here is the irony. The silence you choose to protect the relationship is the same silence slowly damaging it. Because healthy relationships require expression, clarity, emotional honesty. Without it, communication breakdown becomes inevitable. Resentment does not always show up as anger. Sometimes it shows up as emotional distance, lack of enthusiasm, reduced affection, disconnection. You are still there, but not fully present. You still care, but not the same way. because something has shifted internally, and the truth is, resentment creates a wall where intimacy used to exist. You can't feel deeply connected to someone you are quietly holding emotion against. This is how unspoken resentment erodes trust, openness, emotional closeness until the relationship feels different, even if nothing obvious happened. And I want you to take this. What you don't say does not disappear, it settles in your heart. So pause and ask yourself honestly, what have I been keeping in that I need to release? Because the longer you hold it, the heavier it becomes, and eventually it will show up either in your words, your reactions, or your distance. In the final episode of this series, Breaking the Silence, Relearning how to speak and be heard, we'll talk about how to move from silence to honest communication, how to rebuild connection through safe, open expression. If this resonated with you, don't ignore it, reflect, share, and start expressing, because sometimes the words you are holding in are the very ones that can heal your relationship. Thank you. Yours, Disa Therapist.